If you save or update data using Spring Data JPA, you might have noticed that the same SQL statement is always used, even if only one field value is changed. This is performance optimization by Hibernate, the default JPA implementation used by Spring Data JPA. Hibernate tries to avoid checking which attribute of the entity have changed and generating a specific SQL statement for each of them. Instead, Hibernate generates one insert SQL statement and one update SQL statement for each entity class at startup and reuses them for every insert or update operation. Using the same statement over and over again improves Hibernate's performance. However, it also creates overhead if you only change one attribute of the huge entity class. They also cause problems if you want to track changes made to your data on a database table. In this case, it might be better to let Hibernate to generate new SQL insert or update statement for each operation. And that is the thing that I am going to demonstrate you in this tutorial. I am going to start from the scratch. If you already have a project, you can jump to the coding section. So let's get started. To create a new project, head to start.spring.io. Here select Maven project. My language is Java and the Spring Boot version. At the time of this recording, the latest Spring Boot version is 3.3.3. Change the project metadata. The first one is group. Then change the artifact. Dynamic, insert, update. And the description, let's say it is demo project for Spring Boot and dynamic, insert and update. For packaging, I am going with jar and the Java version is 17. This 17 is the minimum required version for Spring Boot 3. Now it's time to add the dependency. I am going with bare minimum. I only need two dependencies. One is Spring Data JPA for database operation, and obviously we need a database as I am going with bare minimum. So I don't want to use any database server. Instead, I will rely on H2 embedded database. Let's add that. A dependency H2 database. And now generate the project and import it in your favorite IDE. Our project is downloaded. Let's import it in IDE. I have opened the project in my IDE. I am using IntelliJ IDE Ultimate version. But if you are using Spring Tool Suite or any other IDE, that will also work. So here what I am going to do is that for demonstrating purpose, let's say I will have a book entity. It will have title, author and publish date. And I will also create a repository for that book, and I will do a insert operation and update operation to show you the result. At first, before diving into dynamic update and insert feature, I will show you the default Hibernate example. Let's get start coding. First of all, in my src main Java, in my main Java package, I am creating a new Java class. Let's name it book. Collapse the sidebar. It is our entity and the table name is books. Then we need a primary key for this ID notation, and I will rely on auto increment feature of the database. So generated value is generation type dot identity. Now the primary key field, private, long and ID. Next I will need a title of the book, private string title. Then our book will have an author, private string author, and finally our book will have a publication date, private local date. The name of the field is published date, and it's time to generate a constructor. At first I'm going to generate all args constructor. So generate constructor, select all except the ID and OK. Next, I need to generate noworks constructor. So constructor, select none. And it's time to generate setter and getter. So generate getter and setter, select all and OK. And the final method is toString method. So generate toString, select all and OK. So our entity class is ready, and let's now create our repository class. So in our main Java package, I'm creating a new Java class. Its type of interface, name it book repository, and it extends CRUD repository. And here first we need to provide the name of the model, that is book, and the data type of the primary key, that is long. That's all for our repository. I do not need any custom method here. Now let's do a insert operation and update operation to see what is happening here. Let's close all of this. I am going to do this insert and update operation using a test. So inside this source, here is another folder, test, and all the test class will go here. In this test, create a new test class, new Java class, name it book test, and enter. Provide annotation data JPA test, and then another annotation I need, that is transactional. That is because here it will have an update operation, so without transactional it will fail. If you want to know more about this, you can check my another video on Spring Data JPA tutorial. Then I need another annotation, that is commit, and here I need to inject the book repository. Name it repository, inject it using AutoAdd, and now write the test case, collapse the sidebar. So test annotation, void test dynamic insert update. Here first initialize a book, then let's set title, book title, next set book author, and finally save the book, repository.save the book, and say after saving the book I changed my mind and I think I need to change the author. Okay, let's change the author, book.set author, and let's name it updated author. And we can now run this test case. But before running this test case, I would like to configure the Spring Boot application to show me the query. To do this, open the sidebar in main, resources, application.properties. Here we need to tell Spring Boot that I want to see the property. For that, the property is spring.jpa.show_SQL to true, and I also want to see this query as a formatted. For that, spring.jpa.properties.hibernate and format SQL to true. Let's run the test and check what happens. We can run this test by clicking on this icon here after this method. Let's run it here. And here you can see Hibernate executed insert and update statement that set all the columns of the book table, though we don't have set the publish date here, but in this statement Hibernate used that publish date. Now let's talk about dynamic insert statement. To enable dynamic insert in our entity class, here at the top of the class, we just need to insert a new annotation, dynamic insert, and that's all. Now if you run this test again, you can check the difference. Here the query is executed. You can see that now the publish date is not set here. Hibernate is using only the property that is provided to create the book. But for the update, in our case, we just updated the author, and Hibernate included all the fields set in their statement. So let's add dynamic update so that it only use the field that has been changed. To do that, in the entity, besides the dynamic insert, we need another annotation, dynamic update. With that, Let's again run the test case. This time you can see for update it's just using the author because we have just update the value of the author. And that's all for the short tutorial. I do have another 2-hour long video tutorial on Spring Data JPA. If you want to learn Spring Data JPA, how to use it and want to use your project, I highly recommend you to watch that video. For the time being, bye bye.